What's going on, YouTube world? It's your girl Kimberly in the kitchen. So what you're looking at is my first official bag of okra, fresh from my garden, now to my freezer. I am going to freeze this bag of okra. This is again starting off as my first bag of the season, that I'm going to freeze so that I have okra after gardening season is over. Now, a lot of people have said different things about how to preserve certain fruits and vegetables, and especially when it comes to like something as delicate, so to speak, as okra. How do you preserve it? Honestly, I've actually invested in a vacuum seal machine because I do want to get as much air out of each bag as possible. So I'm waiting for that to be shipped, and I'm excited about that. But until then, I'm still gonna freeze okra. So this is okra that I've cut up. All I did was wash it, and I cut it up into edible pieces that I would normally fry anyway. So that's all I did, and I put it in the bag, and I've keep pushing it down to get as much air out of the bag as possible. And I'm gonna lay this flat in my freezer and start my stockpiling of my garden harvest so that I can have okra to eat in December when I'm really craving some okra to go with my December barbecue that I'm going to be cooking. So I just wanted to show you guys this is a really quick video. A lot of people have asked how to freeze okra. I've even talked to some people that have came to the home on my garden tours, and they've asked me about how do you preserve your fruits and vegetables, like that, because you're growing so much stuff. Well, I sell a lot of it, and I also just started cutting items up to freeze. Depending on the quantity of bell peppers, I'll be doing the same thing with the bell peppers, cutting those up and freezing those. Here's another little pointer for you guys. It may sound really, really unorthodox or not very clean, but if you take your water hose and you wash or water your garden, throughout the day, or, however many times you do it a week, a lot of your fruits and vegetables really aren't dirty, quote unquote, unless they're physically laying on the ground. My okra, I did wash this, but I let it sit out and actually dry out a little bit before I cut it up. Another good thing you can do besides actually washing it, it will maintain itself a lot longer. You can actually freeze whole pieces of okra. You don't necessarily have to cut it up like this. You can cut the tips off just a little bit, and then you can just freeze the entire whole piece of okra, which will make it last a lot longer in your freezer. You also don't always have to wash your okra before you freeze it, because you can, when you thaw this out, like if I cut this up and I did not wash it, I just got it from my garden, brought it in the house and cut it up, I could actually cut it up, put it in the bag, freeze it, seal it, and then when I get ready to thaw it out, then, rinse some warm water or lukewarm water over it then to kind of wash it. When you pre-wash your certain fruits and vegetables to freeze them, they do maintain a little bit more of the water, which then makes them not last in your freezer as long. Now, you can feel free to do a test. Like, take a bag of okra, wash it, cut it up, freeze it, put on there washed. Take another bag, cut it up, don't wash it, freeze it, put on there didn't wash, and see if it makes a big difference. I'm going to experiment with this myself personally, but right now this okra I did wash before I cut it up. So we're going to see how this works. I'm going to go ahead and push down on this a little bit more and make sure that I have all the air out of this bag, because I do not want there to be any air in this bag, which is why I can't wait until I get my vacuum sealer, because I definitely want to make sure. That's another way to guarantee that your okra or any other vegetables that you freeze or fruit that you freeze last longer, is that the bag has no air in it. So you want to make sure of that. Also, always make sure you put the date and the name of the product on your bag. That's why they have that big white labeling on there. because you don't want to forget what you're eating. It's easier to say, oh, I planted this May 9th, and now I froze this on July the 24th. Great. So that's an earlier date. Well, I'm going to have bags that are going to be earlier than that. So in my freezer, I'm going to put this at the bottom because, or actually at the top. I'm going to move the bags the opposite way because I want the oldest bag at the top, because this is the bag that I'm going to eat first once the harvest season is over. Okay, but that's just my little thing. That's just what I do, you know. Just a little pointer on how to freeze okra and how to cut it up and prep it, and just different things you can try to do yourself. So as you can see, this is a nice amount of okra for me to freeze. It's a good little haul. And I actually had a customer to come by today and buy some squash and some okra from me. And they were talking about the same thing, like, you know, if I didn't eat this, and if I start a garden next season, can you help me with freezing and preserving, you know, pending my quantity? And I gave them the same tips. So I hope this helps you guys. If you have an abundant harvest and you don't sell your fruits and vegetables, but you obviously are growing your food so you can have it for after the season, freezing it, cutting it, washing it before, washing it after, it's all a test. There's no defined or definite way to preserve your items. The most secure way, again, is to make sure you have no air in this bag, whether you wash this before you freeze it or not. So just a little tip on preserving your harvest through the rest of the season. I love you guys. Keep subscribing, keep watching, and I'm gonna let some air out of this bag, and I'm gonna put my okra in the freezer. Happy gardening, you guys.